Your party enters the enchanted woods, but not long were you travelling before you are attacked from the east by the vile goblin hordes led by Scromfell the Unworthy. He's come for the bounty on all your heads, and he won't stop until he gets it. So, what do you do next? Man, this quarantine fucking sucks.
Stupid.
Well, this is a shitty situation. The ongoing pandemic is something that is, for all of us, inescapable. It's making headlines everywhere you look, and the effect that it's all having on our mental health, well, that really can't be overstated. So of everything that's going on in the world, it's nice to be able to find some escapism in video games, like Animal Crossing New Horizons. Oh yeah, baby, let's get to... Yeah, this game just got a bit too real for me. Alright, fine, no Animal Crossing. But there's gotta be something I can play during my quarantine time. Something new, and full of adventure, and fucking someone to help me write a decent segue. AI Dungeon, or more specifically AI Dungeon 2, is a text-based adventure game driven by artificial intelligence wherein you, the player, can type anything you want and the game will, in theory, interpret and incorporate it into the story. The game's creator, Nick Walton, has stated that while playing text-based adventure games in his youth, he would repeatedly find himself stuck behind the walls of, I don't know what that is, and I can't go in that direction. And so while playing D&D one day, he decided that it would be a fun idea to create an AI Dungeon Master, perhaps in the hopes that such a thing would no longer happen. And the big question, of course, is, did he succeed? Well, that's what we're here to find out. So I suppose I should explain how this video is going to work. Essentially, I'm going to sit here and tell you some of the stories that I created with this game. Now, visually speaking, this video is going to be quite different from pretty much anything else I've ever made. Since AI Dungeon doesn't really have any graphics, I'm gonna have to get a bit creative with how I actually show the stories the game and I are making. This is quite literally the most ambitious video I have ever made, so no pressure. But before we get started with all that, how does this game even work? Upon loading up AI Dungeon 2, we're faced with several genre options to choose from. After selecting one, we're then offered a list of classes or character types, and then we enter a name. After that, the game generates a story and starts us off with an establishing paragraph explaining who we are, where we are, and what we're doing. And it's from here that you can basically do anything. To input commands into the game, you simply throw verbs at it. If you want to say something, you can use quotation marks, and as the game promises, it will accept almost anything you enter and give you something back that will advance the story. So no more of that ye can't get ye flask nonsense to halt your progress. This here's the future. Now, the problem with an AI-driven story generator that functions based on machine learning and user input is that, as one might imagine, some of the things that it says can be absolutely fucking batshit insane, but more on that later. I think since you're now acquainted with how the game works, we can dive right into our first story. This is a tale that I like to call A Song of Goblins and Dragons. You are Lillian, a knight living in the kingdom of Larian. You have a steel longsword and a wooden shield. You are on a quest to defeat the evil dragon of Larian. You've heard he lives up in the north of the kingdom. You set on the path to defeat him and walk into a dark forest. As you enter the forest, you see a large black dragon sitting on his throne. He looks like any other normal dragon, but then again, dragons can look just like anyone. Alright, so first thing, we got a dragon encounter. Now, I wanted my first move here to be considered, calculated, and above all else, cautious.
Lay aghast, foul beast of evil! What hast thou done with the princess?
What? I'm setting the mood. It's a fantasy. You turn around and shout, "Lay aghast!" The dragon's eyes widen as he slowly turns his head towards you. His mouth opens wide, revealing rows of sharp teeth. which it begins to gnash upon. It roars loudly and flies off into the distance. You continue following the dragon. Eventually you come across a small clearing with a treehouse built inside. You notice several people gathered around the entrance of the cave. They all seem to be very excited about what they're seeing. A young girl stands up and says,
"My name is Elizabeth, and this is my brother Jack. We came here to seek out the evil dragon that has been terrorizing our village. We have searched the entire mountain range, but we have not found him yet. Can you help us find him? If you can, we would greatly appreciate it."
"Well,
Thank you for helping us. I promise we'll return the favor when the time comes. Bye-bye, evil dragon." Goodbye, friends. Phew. Good night, everyone.
You continue walking along the path until you come across a group of humans who are all arguing with each other. One of them says, "We need to get rid of these monsters or they're going to overrun our village." Another one exclaims,
They're not monsters. They're humanoids.
A third one says,
Humanoid? They look more like orcs than anything else.
You interrupt the argument saying, "These people aren't talking out of their asses. These are actual facts. These monsters are actually called goblins. They've been plaguing this area for years and nobody does anything about it." The humans all turn to you in surprise. You introduce yourself and say, "I'm here to help you guys because I feel responsible for what happened to your village. I was only 5 when it happened." They all seem surprised by your sudden appearance, but they accept your explanation. You ask where the goblins are now. One of them says they're somewhere north of here near the mountains. You say, "Alright then, let's go find out what's going on." You know, that is just so typically me. Barely 2 minutes into the main story and I'm already distracted by side quests. Also, I just want to point out that I didn't write any of that bizarre dialogue for myself. That was all the AI's doing. The only thing I said was ask what's going on and introduce myself. I don't know where it got all that nonsense from. You walk away from the group and head towards the mountain range. As you approach the mountains, you begin hearing strange noises coming from within them. You decide to lay low and keep listening, the sounds getting louder as you approach the mountains. Then suddenly, a large amount of goblins appear from underground. They immediately surround you and start attacking. You fight bravely against them, but eventually they overwhelm you. You attempt to reason with the goblin horde, but you soon realize that you can't win. Your sword is broken, and your armor is damaged beyond repair. Your life force has already been drained from you, so there's nothing left for them to drain. Oh god. This is it, isn't it? I'm done for! Wait a minute. Speak goblin at them. You speak goblin at the goblins, telling them that you want to join them. They agree and lead you into a cave. There they tell you that they will take care of everything for you and give you some food. Then they leave you alone. Don't look at me, I'm just as surprised as you are. After eating, you rest for a while before continuing your journey. As you continue onward, you notice that the goblins are starting to grow stronger and smarter. Their attacks become more powerful and they even learn how to use magic spells. It seems like they're getting better too. You continue along the road, trying to avoid goblins. Eventually you come across an old man who looks very tired. He tells you he knows a way to get rid of the goblins. He shows you a stone tablet which contains magical runes. You read the runes and see that it says, "Goblin tribe, go back to wherever you came from." This causes the goblins to be extremely angry and attack the man. They tear him apart and kill him. Oh Jesus, that's a bit much. You run away from the goblins screaming, "This was a terrible idea!" The next day you hear screams from other travelers about the goblins killing people. You don't know what happened to them, but you do know that it is no longer safe. You go to a tavern and try to recruit as many fighters and warriors as you can. After recruiting enough people, you set off again. On the way, you meet another traveler who looks very tired. He tells you that he knows a way to get rid of the goblins too. You read the rune and see that it says, "Goblin tribe, stay here." This causes the goblins to remain still. You are surprised by this, since you thought they would be attacking you now. I just want to point out how kind of neat that is. The game has logged that the first tablet told the goblins to leave, and it didn't work. So it's thinking, okay, maybe I'll do another tablet, but this time it tells them to stay, which does work. It's not much, but it's kind of neat that the game is both understanding and also building a narrative around the things that it's introduced. You gather your recruits and prepare for battle. You are ready to take on any enemy. After a few weeks of fighting... Weeks? I thought the goblins were paralyzed. Oh man, those are some tough goblins. After weeks of fighting, you defeat the goblins once more. But this time, they are not alone. A group of humans has arrived in the area with their own army of soldiers. They are led by a knight named Royce. They tell you that they will help you, but only if you hand over the king of the goblins. You agree, and Royce gives you a letter which contains instructions on how to deal with the goblins. You read the letter and learn that their king is being held prisoner by some bandits in an abandoned mine.
Oh, hey man, like, that's cool. That's cool. I'd have, like, maybe one question. What?
Okay, to be honest, this is where the game kind of shits itself. I thought Royce was an enemy. I mean, he was introduced that way, but then he's like, yeah, I'll help you if you rescue the Goblin King. Wait, aren't goblins our enemies? Alright, I'm honestly just gonna skip ahead a bit here. So the Goblin King is rescued, and eventually I remind Royce of my mission to kill the evil dragon of Larian, and he says I need to find a dragon rider. I then meet a man called Nolazir, who then proceeds to spend the next few days training dragons for us. We finally fly the dragons up to the mountains where the evil dragon lives, and it's here inside a dark cave where I have my epic final confrontation with him. Suddenly, you hear a voice calling out to you.
Who are you? What do you want?
You answer back. I am Lillian, a knight on a mission to kill the evil dragon of Larian. The voice replies back.
Good, good. Now let me guess. You are also here to steal my treasure.
You reply back.
Yes.
The voice laughs and then suddenly stops laughing. He looks at you and smiles. His face changes to one of sadness. He says,
Oh no. I was hoping that this day would never come.
You charge forward and swing your sword at the dragon. Unfortunately, you accidentally strike him in his eye, causing him to cry out in pain. He begins to struggle and flail about, trying to free himself from your grasp. You stab the dragon repeatedly until he is dead. You stand up and walk over to the corpse of the dragon. You pick up his sword and hold it close to your chest. As you stare at it, tears start running down your cheeks. You feel very sad for a moment, and then you turn away and leave the cave.
So, to reiterate my point from earlier... What?
So that was, more or less, my first story. I did edit it down a little bit to cut out some of the filler. For example, quite early on in the game, I met a character called Dirge who lived inside of a cave. He led me through his home and out the other side. It didn't really have much impact on the story at all, but it was a strangely nice and, I want to say, cozy moment. It really did add some nice world building. Though I feel I should mention that it didn't actually end there. The story goes on for a bit after that, mainly chronicling my journey home and the destruction wrought by the dragon. But then it started talking about my mum, and I'm not about that. No, I draw the line at the creepy self-aware AI talking about my mother. Nah, son. Up next, we take a trip to the Whoniverse in the totally canon tale of Doctor Who, Tenant of the Void. You are the Doctor, a person trying to stay sane during a global quarantine. You have a ton of free time and a Rubik's Cube that you will never finish. You are bored out of your mind and have run out of things to do. But then you notice in the corner of your room something strange. It is a small black box with a red button on it. It looks like an old-fashioned telephone. What could be inside? Is this some sort of communication device from the future or something? The device seems to emit a low hum when touched. It isn't emitting any other kind of radiation, so it must be safe. You pick up the device and touch its surface with your sonic screwdriver.
You know, I asked it to scan, but I guess just jamming it in there's fine.
You press the red button and a bright light fills your entire room. A few seconds later, the device emits another high-pitched tone. You hear a voice coming from the device.
Hello? Who are you?
I am the Time Lord who created this device, the voice answers back.
My name's the Doctor,
You reply.
Which Time Lord are you?
I am the Time Lord, known as the Doctor, the voice replies.
No way. Am I talking to my past self or future?
No, you're not talking to your past self or future self. This is me right now.
Okay, smart ass.
So, what are you doing here?
I'm here because I need help.
What can I do for you?
Well, if you don't mind, I need your help.
You nod. Of course. Who else would I be able to help?
The doctor pauses for a moment before answering. Me.
Motherfucker, I swear to God!
What do you need help with?
Oh, I'll explain everything in a minute.
The doctor says.
First though, let's talk about what we're going to do first.
You pause for a moment. What do you mean?
Well, I need you to go into the box and open it up.
You look at the doctor. Why? The doctor shrugs his shoulders. You walk over to the box and put your hands inside. Opening it up reveals a large metal door which swings shut behind you. You look around to see nothing but darkness. You say, "Where am I? What happened to me?" The doctor looks down at you. Then he stands back up and walks over to you. You plead, "Who are you? Are you really me?" The doctor smiles. "Yes, I am you, and yes, I am truly you." You smile back at him and hug him tightly. You interrupt the doctor. "What's going on here?" The doctor looks at you as if he forgot all about what just occurred. He explains. "The universe is collapsing. I'm trying to stabilize it." "Oh, how a usual Friday then." The doctor nods. You interrupt again.
How the fuck do you interrupt a nod?
You interrupt again. "Who's responsible for all this?" The doctor looks at you as if he forgot all about what just occurred. He explains. "It was an accident, but not one that should have happened." You continue to press questions. "Are you alright? Why did you do this?" The doctor looks at you as if he forgot all about what just occurred. He explains. "Because I love my job." You say, "Something's not right about you. I mean, why would you want to help the universe collapse? What could be more selfish than that?" The doctor frowns. You grab the doctor by his head and turn him around. You take out your sonic screwdriver and begin scanning the doctor. His eyes widen in surprise when they focus on you. "What are you?" you say. "What are you? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?" The doctor begins to laugh. No, it is impossible," he says and puts his hands over his ears. You look confused. The doctor continues to smile and shrug off any responsibility for what he has done. You run away. You don't know what else to do. You don't care anymore. You run away. Your mind is filled with thoughts of escape. Your body feels like it wants to flee as well. You try to fight these urges, but you can't stop them completely.
Well, that was fucking spooky. Seriously, all I wanted to do was go on a fun, campy space romp, but instead I get that creepy fever dream. I've tried to do a few Doctor Who stories with this game before, and I've always chosen the mystery genre and played as a detective because, well, the Doctor solves mysteries and is a bit of a detective, I suppose. But the problem with using that preset is that it always starts you off in Chicago with a gun, which, you know, not very doctory.
No, guns, never use them.
Oops.
This time, instead, I chose Weekly and picked Person as, I don't know, Doctor Who's on Weekly and she's a person. Either way, I was not expecting whatever that was. And speaking of barely lucid fever dreams, I say it's time we finally start our final story of the night.
Now with those last two games, I was using preset genres and classes, stuff that the game was at least somewhat prepared for. But for our last tale, I figured something a bit more exciting was in order. So I used the custom story option. Selecting this allows you to essentially write your own opening paragraph. The AI still likes to add on to it occasionally, but practically speaking, you now get to decide exactly who you are and what you're doing with total freedom. So, gather your popcorn, find your seat, and sit back and enjoy my magnum opus. A long time ago in a kingdom far, far away.
You are Jedi Knight Waluigi of the Jedi Order. You are on a mission to defeat the evil Sith Lord known only as Darth Mario. You have a purple lightsaber and the ability to use the Force. You arrive in the Mushroom Kingdom. The Sith Lord Mario is there, and he's got his minions. He has many of them, and they're all trying to kill you, but they can't get close enough to attack you directly. Yet.
You use your force powers to push some of the minions away from you. This allows you to attack Mario directly. The battle between you and Mario begins. You swing your lightsaber at Mario. It hits him in the chest, sending him flying back. He falls down a few feet and then stumbles forward into a pile of bricks. He screams out in pain as he tries to stand up again. You laugh maniacally.
Wah! It's over, Darth Mario!
You shout triumphantly.
No, it isn't.
It is! I'm winning! I've won!
You scream. Mario looks around for something to help him regain his footing. You run towards Mario, swinging your lightsaber and hitting him in the face. He collapses backwards, falling onto his behind. He grabs a brick with one hand and swings it at you, which misses by an inch or two. You turn around and walk away from Mario.
Too bad, Darth Mario.
You say sarcastically. You grab your lightsaber and toss it at Mario. It hits him square in the chest, knocking him off his feet. He falls down a few more feet and then stumbles forward into a large rock formation. He cries out in pain as he struggles to stand up again. You grab your lightsaber and try to light it, but you fail miserably. You drop the sword and attempt to put out the flames that are starting to form on its hilt. You manage to extinguish the flame before running after Mario. You swing your arms wildly, trying to hit Mario with every punch. You don't succeed though. You scream,
Darth Mario, you're too weak!
You begin to laugh maniacally. You run after Mario and start punching him repeatedly in the face. You grab Mario's lightsaber and hold it above your head. You begin to glow red hot, causing Mario to flinch. You yell,
Darth Mario, you're too weak!
You attempt to stab the lightsaber into Mario's neck, but you miss completely. The blade instead goes through his arm and into his body. He screams in agony as blood begins pouring out of his wound. You watch in horror as he attempts to crawl away from you while bleeding profusely. You say,
After I kill you, Luigi is next.
You know, some of this is really making Waluigi look like the bad guy here. I don't know about you, but it seems like he's not really taking the core tenets of the Jedi faith to his heart. You know, the ones about not letting anger get to you. And actually, come to think of it, I've not seen him kidnap a single child.
The pair of you fight fiercely. You both land some good blows on each other before you fall back to the ground. You pick yourself up and begin to kick Mario in the stomach, sending him stumbling forward. You swing at Mario's neck with the lightsaber. You fail to hit him and he kicks you in the side of the head. You collapse backwards onto the ground, unconscious. You wake up groggy. You sit up slowly, noticing that you have no wounds on you. You also notice that the sun has risen behind you. You look around and see that there is a small campfire burning nearby, along with several bottles of wine and other alcoholic beverages. You ask where Mario went. Nobody knows. You walk over to the fire and sit down near it. You take a drink from one of the bottles of wine sitting nearby.
Waluigi suffers from alcoholism.
You continue searching for Mario, who seems to be hiding somewhere in the woods. Eventually you find him. He is lying on the ground, motionless. His eyes are closed and his breathing is ragged. You ask Mario why he didn't kill you when he had the chance. Mario looks up at you before replying.
I couldn't do it.
You stare at him in disbelief. You put your hand on his shoulder, which is still slightly limp from earlier. You whisper,
Let me help you. Listen, I'm sorry about what happened yesterday. It was an accident, okay? I promise we'll fix this.
Suddenly a loud noise is heard in the distance. You say,
What was that?
A large explosion is heard in the distance. The two of you run off into the forest as fast as you can, but after a few minutes you hear more explosions. You shout,
It's Bowser! He blew up the dam!
The two of you run out of the forest and towards the sound of the explosions. You quickly reach a cliff face and begin climbing down it. Soon you come across a large crater in the earth. There is smoke rising from it. You can smell something awful in the air, like burnt flesh and rotten meat. You look around the crater. Suddenly, you see a dark figure standing by its edge. It appears to be wearing some sort of gas mask. You turn around and hide behind a rock, waiting for it to pass by. You whisper,
That's not Bowser!
You hear its footsteps approaching, but you don't know if it'll actually get close enough to attack you. Suddenly, the creature stops near you. Its eyes are red with rage and it growls loudly. It reaches out with one clawed hand and grabs Mario by the throat. Mario screams in pain as it pulls his head back and breaks his neck. You scream,
Mario, no!
at the top of your lungs. Then you start running away as fast as you can. As soon as you leave the area, the creature returns to its spot and continues watching over the scene. You approach the creature, drawing your lightsaber. It looks at you and slowly raises its other clawed hand. You swing your saber at the creature, which causes it to let go of Mario's body. You cut through several of its tentacles before cutting through its head. Its blood splatters on you as it falls backwards onto the ground. You stand up and walk over to the corpse of Mario. You pick him up and put him into your backpack.
That's a turn I wasn't expecting.
You walk back to where you heard the explosions coming from, carrying Mario in your pack. You bury Mario's body and then take out your lightsaber and begin training it on the ground. You continue to practice this technique until you feel ready to fight someone stronger than yourself. You ask yourself what that creature that killed Mario was. A voice answers.
It's a crow.
You stare at the lightsaber in your hands. You have no idea how you're going to explain this to Princess Peach. You return to your ship and tell everyone about the creature you saw. They all agree that you need to find out more information about it. A few days later, you receive an urgent message from Princess Peach asking for help against Bowser's forces. You return to the castle and meet with Princess Peach, who has been transformed into a hideous monster due to some strange experiment gone wrong. She doesn't look too happy when she sees you though. You both enter the throne room. You sit down from across each other and begin talking. You explain everything that happened between you and Mario. You apologize to Princess Peach for what happened to him and explain that you still don't know what it was that killed him, but you intend to find out. You say,
I think I should leave now.
and then you turn around and run out of the throne room. You run out of the castle and you quickly realize that you can't escape Bowser's minions.
Was this a trap?
You turn around and see Bowser's minions running towards you. You fire your lightsaber at them, which causes several of them to fall off their horses and onto the ground below. The rest of his troops are not as lucky. Many die instantly after being hit by the laser beam. Ah yes, I see, this lightsaber must be functioning on Legend of Zelda rules. You continue fighting. A couple of his minions manage to get close enough to stab you with their swords, but you dodge and slash them away before they can even reach you. You continue searching for Bowser. You head back to the sewers where you first encountered him. He must be hiding somewhere here because he isn't anywhere near his fortress. You find Bowser standing on top of a large mechanical device. He looks very angry.
What? What have you done?
You reply angrily.
I'm doing what's right, Bowser. I didn't want to do this, but I had no choice.
So, you're just going to let me kill you? You've lost all honor now.
You raise your lightsaber and unleash a powerful blast of energy. Again, I don't think that's how that works. It hits Bowser in the chest, causing him to drop his weapon. You grab Bowser by the throat and pull him into an explosion of flames. You then kick him off the machine and throw him to his fiery demise. You smash the machine with your lightsaber. The metal pieces fly everywhere and make a loud noise. You look up at the sky and see that you destroyed Bowser's machine. The sun shines brightly again.
And that, as they say, is that. What a wonderful and not at all pile of shit that was. So as you can see, this game is capable of some interesting levels of storytelling. Now originally in this video I was going to talk a little bit more about how the game actually works, but I'm a dum-dum, so I'm not gonna.
However, what I will do is say that I thoroughly recommend AI Dungeon. It is an absolute blast to play and at times utterly hilarious, whether it's intending to be or not. The game is free to play right on your browser and is constantly updated, so you're never going to run out of crazy adventures to have. Now, with my review of the game out of the way, there is something I wanted to bring up. Originally, this video was filmed all the way back in April, hence the focus on the COVID-19 lockdown and the references to Animal Crossing. Yeah, apparently animation, or whatever the hell this is called, takes a lot longer than I thought it would, so I do apologise for this video's lateness. But having said that, since I started making this video, something else happened, and I really felt it was important to address it here. Right now, across several countries, people are in the streets, protesting against the injustices faced by people of colour, and they are often being met with a sickening, though unsurprising display of violence from the police. Though as a white person, I don't feel as though I have a whole lot to add. What I can do is say firmly where I stand. Black lives matter. Systemic racism must be dismantled, and police brutality needs to end. If you have a problem with any of those statements, Then thanks for watching the video all the way through. Don't forget to leave a like on your way out. This video originally started as an attempt to provide a fun distraction to everyone affected by the lockdown. Which, come to think of it, is literally everyone, isn't it? And while lockdown is probably no longer the focus of most people, I'd like to think that the intention of this video stays the same. To provide a small bit of entertainment during these troubling times. Because the world is scary right now. And I hope I was able to make you forget about that, even if just for half an hour or so. I did have a different ending planned for this video. It was a typical MayRey ending joke. But I felt like this was far more important. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you're all staying safe, wherever you are. As always, I'd like to thank my backers on Patreon: Aaron Loralian, Bree B, Feely Damon, Joshua Alexander, Liz Lilith, Kira Mitchell, and Julie. Thank you so much for your generous contributions. I've been MayRey, and I'll see you next time.